So quick disclaimer, I ended up drawing a lot in these videos, way more than I ever thought, and I don't recommend drawing this much. Yeah, that's a lot. I actually believed that I was drawing maybe 4 to 6 hours a day on a good day, maybe 8 if I was being wild, and apparently it was more like 9 to 12 and sometimes, crazy enough, 14 hours, which is not cool. I do not recommend. And I want to say, just to be clear, I get up and walk and stretch every single hour, so don't judge me, and please don't do what I do. From now on, I'm going to be kind of trying to keep track of how much I'm drawing and maybe limit that a little bit more. So anyway, here we are. We're going to be doing a week of drawing. This is just kind of normal daily drawing for me. I start out just drawing from my mind, thinking about what I come up with. And I will admit this entire day was very embarrassing to me. I had a really rough time drawing on camera. And I was kind of self-sabotaging a little bit. I wasn't even giving myself time to think about what I was drawing. And you'll see on day 2 that it's not as bad. I made myself take my time, so yeah, the self-sabotage was real, and I was very nervous. I actually remember I was sitting and I sighed very loudly, and my sister, who was sitting at the table across from me, because I do most of my drawing in the morning at the kitchen table, she asked me what was wrong, and I said, I feel like I'm not doing a good job, and basically it's upsetting me, and I kind of want to stop. And I realized that maybe I just needed to calm down and pay attention. Even so, I had a couple times this day that I loosened up or wasn't thinking about it as much, and that will be kind of some of the better drawings and things that you see. So yeah, I just started out with free sketching. I pretty much always start out this way because it warms up my hand, it gets my brain thinking, and it's much easier to deal with things. Later on, I usually do figure drawing, or I practice shapes or animals or sometimes backgrounds, which I really wanted to do this week, and I was too scared to do it on camera, so that's a lesson for me. I need to calm down about that and stop expecting so much from myself, whether it be on camera or not. If I fail or I mess up, even if someone did have something negative to say, it's not going to hurt me. They're just words. Their opinions do not affect what I do. So, yup, my opinion also should not affect what I do. So yeah, just a little page here. It was a little difficult for me to get the angles. You can see that sometimes it's in focus, sometimes it's not in focus. I even tilted my stand down slightly. I keep it almost completely straight up whenever I'm drawing at the table. I think that it works well with my hand, my shoulder, my everything, and I've been using it for a while now, and I really like it like that. But I couldn't do that for the video because it would be way too hard to film over my shoulder. And I don't sit still. So, here we go. March 25th. So here comes the figure sketching. I was a little nervous. I do try to constantly figure sketch, but I will admit that I'm guilty of occasionally leaving them be, and I don't do them as often as I should. I do them on and off. Sometimes I'll only do a couple, but a lot of the time recently I had been doing a lot of painting and stuff like that, and it makes me really rusty on drawing because for me the thought process for both, it's just completely different aside from like imagining shapes and stuff. So yeah, and then as I said, I was very nervous about the camera. I don't know why it was making me so nervous. But I don't even usually share a lot of my figure drawing and stuff. I used to post them a lot on DeviantArt, like once a week, sometimes once a month, whatever. I would go through my board, which is what I'm drawing on here, just a clipboard, and I would scan everything and I would upload it. So a bunch of that used to be on there. I haven't done that in a very long time, and I have stacks and stacks and stacks of paper. And I usually stick them in just manila envelopes and put them away. So yeah, it was weird. It was a wild day. I felt strange. And I don't know how I kind of kept up on all of the recording, because I do tend to just sit by a piece of paper and the next thing I know I'm drawing on it. So luckily I kind of kept my mind in it and I remembered to get my camera out. I think having my tripod sitting directly on top of the table helped. And then after this, I move on to working on the comic for at least an hour. I really want to work on the comic, and what usually stops me is I feel kind of guilty doing that. So I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna do an hour a day at least working on the comic. That was kind of the only true deviation from what I usually do. Yeah, so that's kind of how that went. It lasted a couple days, and then I felt guilty for not working full-time on the thing for the business that will also be shown in these videos that I was doing on my iPad, so you'll get a time lapse of that, which is a lot. It's a lot. It lasted me the whole week. It took a really long time. So whenever I'm doing these bodies, I'm kind of trying to get myself to break them down. I don't want to draw exactly what I see, and I was falling into that a bit here. And then by trying to force myself to go to what I wanted to do, which is breaking up each part into a shape, and even if that means thinning it out, like making the legs and stuff more like the skeletal structure than showing the muscles and stuff like that. That's what I prefer to do. That's what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I practice. But it wasn't working out for me. Right here, I'm just starting to draw from my mind and show myself what I want to get out of that, the shapes that I want to use to work from the pictures. And I was struggling. I was really struggling. Not as bad when I went back to my mind. Obviously, you can see me thinking it through. I'm building the shapes off. This one, I'm trying to draw kind of the pose that's above it, because whenever I was drawing from the picture, I could see I didn't put the leg in the correct position because it looked a little weird, and I started to worry that I wasn't going to get it going the right way. So I just kind of redrew it, and I still didn't get it perfectly, but I like the energy in that one just a little bit more, even if it's not as solid. This is a pose that I draw a lot when I'm either feeling dissatisfied or a little tired. So just the sitting down with the elbows on knees, having your face stacked on top of your hands. Yeah, week of drawing. It was interesting. It was interesting to film every single day, and as I mentioned in my last video, it was even harder to stop doing it, you know? Because I was forcing it so much. Like, you have to remember, you've got to get the camera, you're going to get this done. I think one thing that it did help with is keeping me kind of on schedule. I always write on my little post-it note app on my iPod. Yeah, and I kind of write what I want to get done that day and mark it off as I go. So yeah, I would just do that and start my day, and it kept me going, kept me on schedule, and that was really nice. A few years ago, I was really good about pretty much, I had to be working on something by 9 o'clock. When I was really hard working on our comic, I would make sure that I was up by 6 or 7 and doing stuff and getting some sketching done. Then at 9 o'clock, to 9:30, 9 or 9:30, I would start working on the comic, and I wouldn't stop until lunch. I would do walking and stuff and stretching, but I wouldn't let myself dally too much, and I would get right back to it. So I was getting a lot of pages done a week, and I don't even want to think about the amount of drawing time that was happening. So yeah, ignore my horrible... Ugh. I do fix that later. I just turn my paper and we start working landscape, because it was a struggle. Alright, here we're going to start working on the comic. So I just had a lot of painting to do. I kind of just wanted to paint the characters. I still have a lot of background stuff to do. I haven't typed into the bubbles, anything like that. I have the dialogue obviously on a document just sitting there waiting to be used, but I figured that I would paint the character in. So this is Grend, by the way. He's one of my favorites of the trio. And I'm really excited for this chapter. I've wanted to do it for a very, very long time. And if I would just let go of all of my guilty feelings and thinking that because working on this is fun and fulfilling, that it means that I'm stepping away from things that need to be done, I would probably finish it a lot faster. So as you can see, I'm taking a really long time to paint. It did not used to take me this long. And I started after doing this challenge kind of looking at what I was doing, or maybe it was right at the end of the challenge. It's not really a challenge. The filming part was a challenge. But yeah, the normal drawing days, I started thinking, man, my painting has gotten really slow. I kind of lost a lot of the shortcuts and stuff that I taught myself just from doing it a lot. And I started trying to kind of find my way back to speeding that up and figuring out what I used to do. So yeah, I should be able to do these much faster now. I sped this up by I think 5 times, so it is insane how slow I am. And I was going like pretty fast, like movement wise, but man, it was taking forever. And also the shells that I ended up painting through the entirety of the week definitely showed me that I was taking way too long, and it just does not work. It doesn't work with everything else. So here I am, I'm just taking a quick break before I go have lunch. I was waiting for my sister to finish up with some stuff, and then, yeah, so I had about 15 minutes to draw. I didn't know how much time I had, I just went for it, and whenever I was going to stop, I was going to stop. So here I am on Mischief again, and I really like this program. Like I said, I used to use it a lot, so I'm almost immediately loosened up, and I feel a lot more calm whenever I'm drawing on this, even on camera. It feels like I don't think about it too much. I draw at a more normal speed for myself. I'm not so slow. This is not sped up at all. I mean, obviously. But yeah, it feels much more natural and much more calm. And that's just the hours that I put into it, forcing myself to feel that way. So, yep, 15 minutes of just chill sketching, practicing some figure things in perspective, messing around a little bit. Maybe trying to redeem myself, who knows? This is always really calming to me. I used to draw little perspective things and practice objects and turning them in space on here, and there was something very calming about it. Maybe just because it was digital and I knew that I could fix it if I messed it up, or just completely erase it from everything, including my own memory. So, yep. Here I'm re-practicing the rhythms on the arm, and I get going a little too fast and need to chill. I like kind of pushing the bodies backwards like that. I think I need to go back to practicing making them go forward, because I think I'm losing that a little bit. And then the other day my sister pointed out that I'm not drawing people from the back as much in my sketchbook. So I'm going to make a note of that, and I'm going to start drawing people from more angles again, just so I don't get really out of practice. It kind of helps a lot when I am doing the comic, because I have to draw people from a lot of different angles and in movement, which I'm not great at, as I've stated, and I need a lot more practice. I guess I didn't mention, but first of all, these are for my head, and second of all, what I was using for a lot of the study days and everything, it was just quickposes.com, and I think just my pose ref board on Pinterest. Sometimes I just scroll through the feed and see what I get, and if there's a pose that I like or a person that kind of looks more character-y, then I will just draw that. When I was drawing those studies in the morning, there was a couple shapes that I had seen that I really liked, and I usually try to use that in subsequent days of doing it. I'll do it over and over again. Just like, oh yeah, I remember this shape, and it looked like this, and it pushed this shape up, and I will do it multiple times until it's just kind of in my memory. And yeah, just tends to make things look nicer. Like later on, as we're going through the week, you might see that how I draw the bicep when I pull the arm outward in front of the characters, in front of the people. I kind of change the shape on that, and that is just from doing figure drawings and noticing it. And some days I don't really get that out of figure drawing. I kind of forget that I'm drawing to take things from it and not copy something. So I do try really hard to remember that. If I'm not in the mood to do that, or not really in the headspace, I should say, I will not figure draw that day. I will just free sketch until I'm warmed up and then go do something else, because I will have a bad time. So this is kind of out of order. I actually did this, I think, after the shells, but it fit better right here. These are terrible, and I was so embarrassed I didn't want to show them, but I'm going to show them very honestly and show you how I can really self-sabotage. And it's kind of disappointing because I did this really, or what I think is a pretty good schematic for the body I wanted to draw, and look at that, I just ruin it. It's so stiff and it's not quite right. And that's okay. It was something I needed to do. I needed to get it out of my system so that I would start to tell myself to chill out. So, yeah, sorry about that. You guys gotta see a couple bad drawings, and we're gonna make peace with it, and we're gonna move on, and the days afterwards are gonna be better. And that's what it's all about. So, yeah, here I am kind of trying to draw the guy again. And I am trying to be a little bit calmer, but I was still kind of panicking a little. I thought, oh, I'll draw a face and, it won't be so bad. So here I am, I finally relaxed. And I think this is probably the only drawing on this page that I'm okay with. And I do see some issues with it, but you can see the difference in how I approached it. I'm a lot looser. I'm almost drawing like I was on Mischief, where I'm giving myself time to think, I'm drawing the line, I'm giving myself time to think, I'm drawing another line, and I'm feeling out the pose instead of, oh, this has to be good, and oh, it has to go like this, and no, I don't want to have to erase a whole bunch, and yeah. It was fine. Some days just be like this, and you have to get them out of the way so you can have a better day. Even editing this was a struggle. I wasn't even sure I wanted to go through with editing the rest of the days. But yeah, I'm going to. I've already almost finished with day 2 as I'm making this voiceover, and we will show everything, the good, the bad, the mediocre. We've got this. We're gonna do it. Yeah, I felt so much better drawing this one. I felt more like myself. I should have just started drawing the weird, creepy guy. I mean, maybe that's what I needed. Yeah, I did end up kind of liking the shape of his body. And this is kind of where I was recognizing that I was just going to have to change the angle of my board. I wanted to keep it as normal as possible so that I could be true to what I usually do and how things usually look, but it was not conducive to filming. So I just had to set it down almost flat the days afterwards, and it was a little bit harder for me to see. It kind of killed my back, and it made my shoulder really sore. But hopefully it still gives you an idea of what I do, and I'll just mention that I have things at an angle. This last one was me kind of trying to push myself to do something that is... It is difficult, but when I'm in the right mindset, I can do it. And I kind of knew it wasn't going to turn out perfect and that I needed to just let that go. So I let it be what it was going to be. And that was fine. So here I start the shells. These things were cursed and they took me way too long. All I do right here, I told myself that I was going to do the sketch and the lines this day. I knew it was going to be a lot, and I usually kind of push myself with things like this because I will put them off as long as I possibly can. Doing finished stuff stresses me out, especially stuff I know I'm going to paint. I don't really mind doing the lines, but yeah, they do take me a while because I just want them to look a certain way and have weights to them, and yeah. It's a lot, and I did most of these I looked through, saw some pictures, and then drew them from memory for the most part. I didn't want reference up on the screen because I'm drawing on my iPad mini and it just takes up a lot of space.
It's a good hand.
Thank you.
You like people having these little freaky hats, don't you?
Yes, this is the same guy.
The crowbar during editing.
That is a nice pen.
Isn't it really great?
It's like really, really smooth.
It's extremely
like
smooth.
a very consistent line as well.
It actually feels really nice on this paper.
Okay, so whiskey. I'm kind of doing this a little bit to where it pushes me out of my comfort zone, trying to get this.
We would not have this footage if not for my sister. She was like, "Do you want me to record a little bit of this for you?" Because I couldn't really get my camera to fit where I was drawing. So she grabbed my iPad and she filmed 4 minutes of this for me, which I really appreciated. So that is why you have a little bit of inking on the sketchbook page I did for this day. This is the guy that I did for the marker video. I didn't feel like I did a very good job with him in that video, so I just wanted to do him again. Redraw it, try again. I still have this like weird thing where I really want to make those X eyes look like the holes in a bell. So yeah, I might end up drawing him again. And I will have a time lapse from this week of me drawing another kind of fish head character, and he's kind of a shark. So if you've seen that on my social media, then you will see the time lapse from that this week, if all goes as it should. So here's the finished stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you felt about it. Have a good day or night, and bye.